I'll explain. When you think about what we confronted after the Bush years, this was not a minor problem of some folks who broke the law, some bad apples, some rogue soldiers. We were talking about an 8-year period where some of the issues and some of the events were previously unfathomable to me when I was a third-year law student like Karen. If you had asked me in a third-year law review exam, do you think it would be possible to take an American citizen and apprehend them on American soil and not charge them with a crime and hold them indefinitely? Yes or no? It would have been absolutely not. Not in our America. Happens in China, happens in Cuba. If you would have said in that same law school multiple choice exam, which I never really had, I wish I had, I would have done better, I think. Can you imagine a president enacting a law that intercepts the communications, phone calls, emails, financial records, employment records, student records of anyone in American soil without consulting Congress or without consulting any court? No, the president doesn't get to legislate. No, false. Can you imagine any American official authorizing torture, which is clearly established by our criminal domestic statutes, including waterboarding, which means that you're pouring water down a person's throat and allowing them to believe that they are drowning, or the placement of a power drill next to a person's ear as you have stripped them naked and held them blindfolded, or the placement of individuals in coffin-sized boxes, where in this wonderful Justice Department memo that if you really want to see it, you email me, I'll send you the excerpt, where in this great letterhead from the Justice Department saying, you have inquired about whether or not it would be appropriate to place an individual in a coffin-sized box with insects that bite. That is not allowed. However, you can place the individual in a coffin-sized box with insects that you lead the defendant to believe are biting, but as long as they're not biting insects, that won't be considered torture. Written from the Office of Legal Counsel, the highest level of our Justice Department, interpreting the great values and aspirations of our founding fathers. All that and more you see in our documents. And if you had asked me 8 years ago, would this happen anytime in your America? I would say no. And yet all of that has indeed transpired. And so what happened over the last 8 years isn't akin to some minor problems here and there we need to tweak. It isn't akin to just taking out the Bush garbage and saying, okay, we kicked them out. Garbage is out. No more Cheney, no more Rumsfeld, no more Addington, no more Ashcroft, no more Gonzalez. The list goes forever. No more Rove, right? That's not taking out the garbage. What they did to the American legal system is a complete toxic waste dump. You don't just pick up a little bit of the dirt on 3 Mile Island and say, we cleaned up the toxic waste site. Now you can go back and live there, folks. The radioactivity is gone because I cleaned the soil. What they did was so deeply rooted against so many core principles and established laws that it requires a level of tenacity and a level of interest and zeal, the likes of which we have still not seen from this administration. This administration continues to use the same arguments to bar people from bringing cases before the court, where one of the biggest challenges we confront is the inability to get into court, because even when we file a case, they'll often bounce us out of court to say, to litigate even this case presents a state secret issue. So even when you have a case, you can't bring your evidence or call your witnesses or try to convince a judge, because they say, whoa, 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 whoa. We'll totally compromise national security if we let you go through with this. One of those cases is a case of Mr. El-Masri. A German citizen picked up in Macedonia. It's a case of wrongful identity. He had the wrong name. Shipped off to Bagram. 5 months later, they tortured him there. 5 months later, they find out they had the wrong guy. They put him back on another plane, another CIA plane. They leave him this time off in Albania. It's almost out of a James Bond movie. They tell him, just keep walking and don't look back. He ends up going to authorities, and he ends up finding his way back home, and his lawyer in Germany ends up finding us. We try to bring a lawsuit on his behalf just to claim the fact that when you kidnap someone and torture them and then dump them in another foreign country, you should have your day in court. You should let us call the witness. Let's cross-examine some folks. Let us present the facts. That case was booted out of court on a motion to dismiss. It's a little legalese, but you can figure it out. Didn't even allow us to call one witness, try to make any discovery because of the state secrets privilege. That same argument that happened under the Bush years is being argued by the Obama administration in a similar case out of California, where we're going after this Boeing subsidiary that has been providing the airline flight service on the rendition flights. The very same state secrets argument. No, 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 we can't even let you present the case, ACLU, because if you do so, we'll find ourselves in a situation where national security will be compromised. Now, the fact is, what I'm telling you is fully in the public domain. Most of the evidence we've collected is evidence that we don't have access to classified documents. They won't give it to us. You won't be surprised. Most of what we've collected has been with good, thorough research that's already in the public domain, tracking journalists, tracking airplane tag numbers, trying to figure out who knew what when. And so many of these issues are not of the compromise or the compromising quality you would find in a real state secrets case. You find the Obama White House now on the verge of throwing back the 9/11 defendants into military commissions. These are the worst of the worst, supposedly, Mr. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and his allies. They were also tortured, waterboarded, held in secret prisons, and often in many of them in Poland or in Romania. Shipped off to Guantanamo, haven't seen a lawyer until 2.5 years ago. The first charge was brought before these military commissions that were enacted by the Bush administration. Military commissions that were designed to render a guilty verdict. Military commissions that have never been used before. We've had military commissions. We didn't want to use those. We had criminal courts. We didn't want to use those. So we decided to create a new legal system. That's what you do. You know, you got these real bad criminals you really want to convict. Let's start all over again. To hell with 200 years of jurisprudence. Let's just make up a new legal system as we go along. And so in this new legal system, they would allow evidence gleaned from torture, evidence gleaned from hearsay. Hearsay is gossip. You know, if you saw me kill someone and they call you to the stand, you're a witness, you can point at me, that's evidence. If you saw me kill someone and you whispered to her, and all they could call is her, and I can't rebut the fact, like, what's your vision like? Were you really there? You know, all the evidence you want to make sure that the person could truly identify you. Hearsay evidence is gossip. They're allowing hearsay evidence. They're allowing coerced evidence. They are allowing minors to be treated for crimes, minors to be treated as adults for crimes they committed as minors. And it was completely rigged to have an outcome where these individuals would get convicted as quickly and as expeditiously as possible with the least due process as possible.